How you doing?
Rebbe, how's Rebbe?
Good. How's the bread?
It was no, I'm not there yet. I'm still learning.
Okay.
Rebbe.
How are we all doing?
Anyone having school today?
What was that? Okay. Nice. Now I got the breakout. Someone's going to remind me at the end of today also about the breakout room idea, and then we're going to practice that. Now that I figured out which button to press and how to do that, we're going to go. Does anyone have with them the Marmakomos list that was there, or should I put it back on the screen again?
I've got the Marmakomos, Rebbe.
I'm fine.
It's good on the. It's good on the screen. It's like.
You only get on the screen. Okay, so give me 1 second, then I'll let me try to bring it up here. Hold on 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Sorry. And we'll do the share screen thing. Where do we want? Sefiras HaOmer. Okay, are we on?
Yep. No. The
Black right now.
it's black right now.
Black. Okay, 1 second, because something says it's not responding on my computer, so I apologize.
If it's difficult for the screen sharing, then
No. I'm gonna try to just the Zoom guy is like waiting around a little bit for.
Good, we got it.
now it works.
Okay, and then I think we should be on. Just gotta get the hang of using all the things over here. Okay. Okay, so let's roll. So today's discussion is going to be about the sugya of Shomea Ka'ona in Sefiras HaOmer, which happens to be a pretty big topic. And so let's try to roll here. The disadvantage of the Marmakomos thing, by the way, is that I can't see everybody, which like throws me off a little bit. But we're gonna still try this though. But I can't figure. There we go. Okay, I can do this and then okay. Okay, so the like I said, the main sugya is going to be the general topic of Shomea Ka'ona, but we're going to do that derech an iyun here about a din in Sefiras HaOmer itself. So we're going to start with the Gemara Menachos and Daf Samachem and Beis. The Gemara quotes a brayso Tan Rabbanan Usfartim Lachem, you plural Lachem should count, and the Gemara has a drasha Shetehei Sfira L'Kol Echad VeEchad. Everyone should count. Shetehei Sfira L'Kol Echad VeEchad. We have a machlokas now amongst the Mefarshim, what exactly that din of Shetei Sfira L'Kol Echad VeEchad actually is all about. If you look in the Mishnah Brura, Mishnah Brura points out that the Shulchan Aruch brings down in Siman Tov Pei Tes that there is a mitzvah that everyone should count. Lispor la'atzvo. Everyone should count themselves. And the Chavetz Chaim quotes his drasha. And then he starts off saying that the Achronim, some of the Achronim at least say, that the drasha, the din of Shetei Sfira, the Kol Echad VeEchad means that as opposed to a classic mitzvah that involves an amira, that involves some kind of a statement where you're supposed to say something like Kiddush, Havdalah, etc., where there's a rule of Shomea Ka'ona. One person makes Kiddush, everyone listens in, and everyone's Yotzei. Here, the Gemara is darshaning from this pasuk, and we're paskening in la halacha, that it's not like that. Everyone has to count for themselves, okay? And you can't rely on somebody else counting and you listening in. The post can point out that that's not true according to everybody. That's not true when it comes to the bracha. I can be yotzei the bracha with somebody else, but there is a major school of thought in the Gedolei Achronim that says that the sphere itself, I cannot rely on the halachic mechanism of Shomea Ka'ona. The Chavetz Chaim in the Mishnah Berurah also quotes that yesh min achronim, that right, but that's not true. That you actually can do shomea ka'ona when it comes to Sefira. But what the Gemara means when it says shetei Sefira l'kol echad ve'echad, the Gemara is referring to something else. And the Gemara says that everyone has to count. That means as follows. We know that there are some other examples of mitzvahs that require a Sefira in the Torah. So, for example, the mitzvah of counting the years of Shemitah, the 7 years leading up to a Shemitah, the 7 Shemitah cycles that culminate in a Yovel. There, the halacha is that the Beis Din on the night of Rosh Hashanah makes a bracha and counts. This is the 2nd year of Shemitah, the 3rd year of Shemitah. This is the 4th Shemitah cycle. This is the Yovel year, etc. But the only person who ever does that is the Beis Din that's being Mekadesh the Chodesh, or ushering in the new year when it comes to the Rosh Hashanah, etc. The Beis Din that's being Mekadesh the Shemitah and the Yovel. That mitzvah doesn't apply to any individual. So you have no chiyuv on Rosh Hashanah night to say, oh, this is the 3rd year of the Shemitah cycle. That's a mitzvah on Beis Din. That's not nogeya. That's not nogeya to you. You can take a look at the lashon of the pasuk in the beginning of Parashas Bahar. If you want to see the difference in the lashon of Sfartim Lechem as opposed to the Safarta Lecha, etc. And some of the Achronim say that that's all the Gemara is telling us over here. When it says it means that there's a chovas yachid. Every individual has a mitzvah to count. It's not just chal on the Beis Din, but I can be yotze through shomea ka'ona. It doesn't mean that I have to count myself. It just means that I have to be yotze the mitzvah. The mitzvah is relevant to me as opposed to the mitzvah of counting the Shemitah and Yovelos, which is not nogeya to me as an individual at all. That's a machlokes. That's there. Generally speaking, we try to be machmer, and everyone counts the Sefira for themselves. Hey, if you take a look in the Bir Halacha that's printed here on the sheet, you'll notice that the Bir Halacha there quotes that he thinks if you look through the Rishonim on the Gemaras there Menachos carefully, you'll see that there might even be a machlokas in Rishonim already about this idea of being somich on Shomea Ka'ona for Sefiras HaOmer. So I'll leave you to read the halacha on your own to be able to get a better feel for that. But what we're going to do now is take a look in terms of some of the lumdis over here of what that machlokas is. There Shomea Ka'ona. What is that all about? What's that all about? So for starters, we're going to discuss a very well-known and very important Beis HaLevi. There's a story behind the Beis HaLevi. If you take a look, this is the Beis HaLevi. On the sheet, it says the Beis HaLevi for Chanukah. It's a little bit of a what do you call it, a misleading title that the computer printout gave over here. In the back of Sefer Bereshis, the Beis HaLevi has a number of pages about the Sugyos and Masechta Shabbos about Chanukah. And then after that, he just has a couple of random shtiklach about various topics. So one of those is titled at the very beginning. I'll read a couple of words for you, and then I will speak outside. Be'inyan Shomea Ka'ona and Birkas Kohanim. Basically, was asked a question whether or not Shomea Ka'ona applies to Birkas Kohanim, applies to Duchening or not. And what he says is that a Chacham Echad said that by Birkas Kohanim, you can have one person stand up in front of the shul, do the Duchening. All the other Kohanim can stand there like this with the Nesiyas Kapayim. Okay? They stand there, but they don't say anything. They just listen in. And one Kohen Duchent, and they're all Yotzei the mitzvah through Shomea Ka'ona. Now, what the Beis HaLevi doesn't tell you here in this question is that historically that was actually the minhag in many of the cities in northern Italy, mainly in a city called Livorno, which was a city that had many Talmidei Chachamim and many Mekubalim lived in Livorno. But in northern Italy, that was actually the practice. And in an interesting little historical thing, after this tshuva, the Beis HaLevi, that actually fell out of practice. But that was an Italian. We know Jews were living in Italy from the times of the Churban Bayesheni. Italy is one of the oldest Jewish communities in the diaspora in the world. The Beis HaLevi said as follows. Again, I'm not reading inside. You can read it on your own. the Beis Halevi says as follows. He says, I don't think that Birkas Kohanim can be done through the medium of Shomea Ka'ona. Why not? So says the Beis Halevi as follows. He says, when you need what he calls, I'm just going to use some of his words first, then we're going to elaborate. The Beis Halevi says, when I need just an amira, when it's a matter of saying something, so then you're right, you can do Shomea Ka'ona. I said Kiddush, I listened to him, he said Kiddush, it's like I said it, that's fine. Birkas Kohanim, the Beis Halevi says, has a detail that the Gemara learns from a pasuk that you're required to do the Birkas Kohanim b'kol ram, in a loud voice. Okay, that's why Lambert, Rabbi Kenningsberg, Rabbi Cohen, when they get up and they duchen, and Rabbi Elman, it comes out, you notice the Kohanim say it out loud, they scream a little bit. You have to make sure that everyone in the room is able to hear. There's a requirement of a kol ram. So for example, if a Kohen was to get up to do the Birkas Kohanim and just whisper, he said it loud enough that he could hear it. He said it, all right? So in terms of, let's say, if he was doing the mitzvah of reading Kriya Shema, that's called that he said the words, but he wouldn't be Yotzei the mitzvah of Birkas Kohanim because he didn't do it b'kol ram. He didn't do it loud enough that everyone can hear. Now, says the Beis Halevi, listen careful. Okay, play on words. Shomea Ka'ona, listen carefully. And the Beis Halevi says as follows. So let's say I'm standing there next to the Kohen that's saying the Birkas Kohanim, and I want to rely on Shomea Ka'ona. Says the Beis Halevi, all that happened now is that we're going to say that, okay, so it's like I said the Birkas Kohanim, okay? But I didn't say it out loud. I said it, but it was like in a whisper because no one else could hear the voice. Says the Beis Halevi, Memela, it's not possible to be Yotzei, the Birkas Kohanim, through Shomea Ka'ona. Okay? That's the psak that was given by the Beis Halevi. Now, this Beis Halevi causes a lot of discussion now about how we view and analyze the concept of what Shomea Ka'ona actually means. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the lumdis behind the Beis Halevi. When we tell you that if I listen to that Kohen say the Birkas Kohanim, okay, that it's like I said it, but I didn't say it with a kol ram. Okay, what you're basically telling me is that we don't say that whatever he just did, it's like I'm doing it right now. Okay, that I'm riding on his coattails. He's saying the Birkas Kohanim b'kol ram, and I'm also saying the Birkas Kohanim b'kol ram. Okay, we got the idea? It's not like that, right? Rather, it's like I might have said it, okay? I might have said it, but I didn't say it in the proper way because I didn't have a kol ram when I was saying the Birkas Kohanim. So in terms of a technicality, would I have been Yotzei like, okay, fine, it's like you said the word? Maybe yes, right? But that detail definitely wasn't there. Why wasn't that detail of kol ram there? Because we don't view it, we're not viewing it as if whatever he just did, I just did. That's not what's happening by the Shomea Ka'ona according to the Beis Halevi. Okay? Now let's take a look at our next Marimakum just to expand upon the ideas, and then we can talk a little bit more about our sugya over here. There's a very well-known machlokas between Rashi and Tosfos in Masechet Sukkot Daf Lamed Ches Amud Beis, printed on the sheet. I guess we'll call it in front of you. And you have a machlokas like this. I'm just going to bring it up so you see both of the things over here, and then we'll go back to me being able to view you. Okay, so we have like this. We have as follows. Tosfos here brings a sheet of Rashi. Rashi is the first opinion in the underlines. Where Rashi says as follows, a very, very well-known thing you're all familiar with. Rashi says, what happens if a person is in the middle of davening Shemona Esrei? I don't know if you remember this at all. It's been a long time. Do you remember what Kedusha was? Did you ever hear of that before? Somewhere in the past, like ancient history, right? That whole thing, Kadosh Kadosh, and Baruch Kvod Hashem, and all that. So it's like a Zeicha L'Mikdash we're doing right now. So it says, Rashi, if you're in the middle of davening Shemona Esrei, and you hear those words of Kedusha, okay, so what are you supposed to do? Says Rashi, you stop in the middle, right? And you listen to them saying a Kedusha so that you can be Yotzei the Kedusha as well, okay? And that's also the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda Gon, the Bahag, That was the opinion of many of the Rishonim and Gaonim. Tosfos argues on the spot, and Tosfos says no. He says not at all. I'm going to read you what the last underline in that Tosfos. It says Elavadiyam Haya Shosig. If you're going to be quiet and listen to them say the kedusha, says Tosfos, if you're going to be quiet and listen, then Shmiyaso Hafsakas, you're making a hefsek in the middle right now. How can you stop in the middle and rely on Shomea Ka'ona to do kedusha, but then you're being mafsik in the middle of your Shemona Esrei? I know if I am listening, I'm davening Shemona Esrei, and I hear that Tzibor get up to kedusha, what's the one thing that I for sure don't do?
That's
I'm not supposed to answer. Very good. You said that, but I'm not supposed to be mafsik. I don't answer. Okay? Says Tosfos, so if you're going to listen, you're also being mafsik. You can't do that. You rather you just got to keep on going and don't heed what's going on by the shots in the slightest bit. Now, this is a great example here of a machlokes, Rashi and Tosfos, because the lumdis is very, very clear over here what Rashi and Tosfos are debating. Then we're going to come back to the Beis Halevi and back to Sefiras HaOmer. It's very clear that Tosfos understands, Tosfos, who says that you do not stop and listen to Kedusha, right? Because that would be called a hefsek. It's very clear that Tosfos holds that if I'm going to listen to the Kedusha, it's as if I'm actually saying the Kedusha myself right now. Okay? And that's why it's called a hefsek. Rashi tells me I'm allowed to listen to the Kedusha, and it's not a hefsek, but I'm yotzei the mitzvah. Right? So why is that? So it's clear once again, so Rashi's telling us, it's clear once again that what Rashi is telling us is that that what Rashi's telling us over here is that, yeah, the Shomea Ka'ona, and Shomea Ka'ona lets you be yotzei a mitzvah, but that doesn't mean that you actually said anything. You didn't say anything. You were yotzei the mitzvah. That's fine, and you can listen into the Kedusha, and that doesn't cause any funky problems with your Shemona Esrei. Okay? That's the shita there of Tosfos. Now that's basically what we just saw. That idea of Rashi was the pshat also behind the Beis Halevi, right? Because what the Beis Halevi tells me is if I listen to the Kohen make the bracha, I'm one Kohen, I'm listening to the Kohen make the bracha, so it might be true that I'm going to be yotzei the mitzvah, it might be true that I can be yotzei the mitzvah, but I didn't say with a kol ram. Now, what does that mean? It means that I'm not actually saying it according to the Beis Halevi. It's enough to be considered like, fine, I did the mitzvah, but to say that I'm actually doing what he did, no, that you don't have in the slightest bit. So this machlokas, what Shomea Ka'ona means, is it just a mechanism to make me be yotzei something, or is the idea that it's as if I'm actually doing it? Okay, many want to learn, and many want to suggest that that's also the pshat in the machloka, in the din over here, rather, by Sefiras HaOmer. And this machlokas here, whether or not you can use Shomea Ka'ona to be yotzei the Sefiras HaOmer or not. What we can explain is that the man Omer that says that you can use Shomea Ka'ona. So just one second, it's letting the next person in. The man Omer that says that you can use Shomea Ka'ona. So he's basically saying that, right, Shomea Ka'ona, the reason why it works for Sefiras HaOmer is because even though there's a din of Shetei Sefira L'Kol Echad Ve'echad, I'm saying it. I am doing it because I'm doing Shomea Ka'ona. Now the other man Amar is going to tell us that that's not true. Shomea Ka'ona means that maybe you can be yotzei a mitzvah, but if there's a din, a special din, Shetei Sefira L'Kol Echad Ve'echad, that's mechayiv me to say the Sefiras HaOmer, and I didn't say anything right now. So then I wouldn't be able to use the normal trick called Shomea Ka'ona, because here when the Torah demands and requires Shetei Sefira L'Kol Echad Ve'echad, the Shomea Ka'ona is not going to be good enough, because here the issue is it's not just you're supposed to be yotzei the mitzvah, but you have to actually rather say the Sefira on your own, and Shomea Ka'ona is not going to provide you with an ability to do that. And again, the other opinion who says that you can do Shomea Ka'ona obviously is arguing on that. That's stage number one. Now, they're moving right along. There are many reasons to think that might not really be true over here. We're going to try now to jump into a couple of very important basic things over here. But let's explain quickly the idea. The Soloveitchik point out, and this is found in other Sfarim also, but this is one of the classic Brisker ideas, who said that no, that's not true. That nobody possibly could allow Shomea Ka'ona by Sefiras HaOmer. The entire concept is a big mistake, and it's for sure true that you're not allowed to do Shomea Ka'ona in order to be Yotzei the Sefira. Okay, and the opinion that the Mishnah Berurah quotes from the Achronim that says, you're allowed to do Shomea Ka'ona is totally incorrect. Why? Even if I was going to learn that Shomea Ka'ona means that it's as if I'm actually saying it myself. I'm mamish doing it. Okay? Whatever he's doing, I'm doing it, right? Which what the Beis Halevi didn't think was true. We saw the Machlokas, Rashi, and Tosas. Even if we believe that I'm mamish saying it, that's not going to work for Sefiras HaOmer. Why? So here we have a very, very key idea, very, very important concept, and that is as follows. When it comes to a regular mitzvah of Amira, okay, where there's a requirement to say something, I have to say the words of Kiddush, I have to say the words of Havdalah, okay? So the Shomea Ka'ona means, like we just said before, fine, I'm listening in, and I can end up being Yotzei. Whatever exactly the tweak we have, how that works, but I know I can listen to him recite something, and that's viewed as if I'm saying the same exact words by myself. That's why in theory also you can have a shliach tzibur b'motziu and tefillah, right? I said the words of the tefillah, and that's going to be good enough. Okay, that's going to be fine. But now we have as follows. Sefiras HaOmer, despite the fact that there is a text, right? There are words that we say for Sefiras HaOmer. Hayom Yom this va'omer, but the mitzvah of Sefiras HaOmer is not the recitation of the words, saying the words, enunciating, pronouncing, vocalizing, verbalizing. The words is not the geder of the mitzvah, but rather, exactly as the title implies, by Sefiras HaOmer we are required to do something that's called a sefira. You're required to count something. Okay? Now listen carefully. What am I'm counting the days of the Omer. When the mitzvah is to count something, okay, Shomea Ka'ona can't help me at all. Why not? Because Shomea Ka'ona can help when the mitzvah is to say something. I can be Yotzei by listening, right? That works. When the mitzvah is, there's a maisa of counting, okay? So let me give you as an example. Can I do Shomea? It's going to sound like a funny example at first, but I want to say just to catch your attention. Can I use a Shomea Ka'ona to be mekayim the mitzvah of putting on tefillin in the morning? I'm just going to sit there. He's going to put on tefillin. I'm going to listen to him wrapping the tefillin, and I'm going to be Yotzei. Does that work?
No, because it's not a mitzvah to have tefillin be wrapped. It's a mitzvah for you to wrap tefillin.
I have to put the tefillin. I'm not putting tefillin on. There's a mitzvah to wear the tefillin. I'm not doing that. Right? Obviously, Shomea Ka'ona can't help with that. It doesn't. The whole question is ridiculous. So the idea is also true by Sefiras HaOmer. The mitzvah is not to say anything. The mitzvah rather is to, one more time, to count. And there's a maisa mitzvah. And whenever the mitzvah is a maisa, particular action, so then Shomea Ka'ona doesn't work. Shomea Ka'ona works on things that we have to verbalize, but where there's a pu'ula, where there's a maisa that you're doing, a maisa sefira, so Shomea Ka'ona is not possibly going to work. Okay, a mashal, right? Just to it's a little closer to home. Not necessarily exactly the same idea, but very, very close. Think about the following, basic question: Can I do Shomea Ka'ona to be Yotzei Kriya Shema twice a day? Okay, you find someone that reads with a lot of grammar or dicta perfect. I'm just going to listen to him say Kriya Shema, and I'm going to be Yotze. No, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Because again, even though Kriya Shema has words that you say, okay, but the Geder of the mitzvah of Kriya Shema is not saying words. The Geder of the mitzvah of Kriya Shema is the famous phrase of, turn the mutes off and say, anyone? I didn't see anyone texting it into me either. Okay, there's one of these like feel strange moments here. Together of the mitzvah of Kriya Shema is what we call Kabbalas Ol. Nobody. Okay. Do we know what? We ever heard the expression Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shemayim? Did I lose the sound? Maybe that's it. Maybe you lost the sound for a second. The Geder of Kriya Shema is what we call Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shemayim, to accept upon yourself the Malchus Shemayim. Now, the way I do that is by saying words, but the mitzvah is not saying the words. The mitzvah is the Kabbalah that I'm making, is the belief. I have to internalize a message, believe in something, accept something upon myself, and someone else saying words cannot possibly perform the act of Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shemayim for me. Same thing can be true when it comes to Sefiras HaOmer. The Maisa of Sefira can't be done through somebody else. Let's give a mashal. Okay, there's a Magen of Ram you have here on the sheet, and some tough peites. This is Paskin by the Mishnah Berurah also. This says something very interesting. Magen of Ram Paskins the following. Let's just give an illustration. Okay, you walk into the local shul in the good old US of A, and 90-something% of the people have absolutely no clue how to understand. Let's come back to Kriya Shema again. And understand each and every word of Kriya Shema or each and every word of Shemona Esrei. Okay? I'm saying 90%. Maybe it's higher in some places, right? But it's usually not lower than that. Most people don't really know every last little word that they're saying. Okay? Now, why am I Yotze when I read the Shemona Esrei, when I read the Kriya Shema, if I don't understand the words? So we all know the famous thing in the beginning of the 7th parak of Masechta Sota, beginning of Elo Ne'amarim, that when it comes to Lashon HaKodesh, as long as I'm saying the text in Hebrew, if I don't understand the words, but I'm still doing the basic mitzvah because I'm saying it in the official Lashon HaKodesh, the official text. What would happen if I wanted to read Kriya Shema in French? And I don't speak French, but I can figure out how to pronounce all the words that are in the French article siddur. Can I be Yotze like that? Shake your head? No. Why not? Because to say the Kriya Shema in a language that you don't understand doesn't work, but to say it in Hebrew, where at least I'm actually reading the words, that's A-okay, right? Lashon HaKodesh works for any mitzvah, even if you don't understand. Says the Magen of Rav, that's not true when it comes to Sefiras HaOmer. If you say the Sefira in Hebrew, and you don't understand what you're saying, again, Hayom Yom Echa Ba'omer is like not so hard, right? But if you don't understand the words of the Sefira, you don't know 18, 19, 20, you don't understand what you're saying, you're not Mekayim the mitzvah. Okay? And the time paskins like that. Halacha l'maisa. That's the way the Mishnah Berurah paskins. The whatchamacallit. So says the Magen of Ram, Sefira in Hebrew, if you don't understand Hebrew, you're not going to be Yotze. Now let's use that to illustrate our point of view. Why is that true? Right? Why is Sefira different than any other time? If I say Kriya Shema in Hebrew, that's fine. I read the Megillah in Hebrew. I don't know the words. That's fine. I read the Megillah. If I said Kriya Torah, whatever else you want, I read the words in Hebrew. That's going to be good enough. If I read the Shnayim Mikra Echad Targum in Hebrew, right? I'm Mekayim the mitzvah reading the Psukim because I read the official. I read the words. That's going to be, but the Pshat in the Magen of Ram is very, very simple. Okay, and should be obvious to us now based on the lumdus that we presented. Since the whole mitzvah of Sefira is not saying the words, but rather the mitzvah of Sefira is the Maisa of counting. Okay, something doesn't have a chalos shem counting. It's not considered counting if you don't have any idea what you're saying. Right. So if I walk into to the stock room in my whatever in the back of the store and I just like mumble stuff, that doesn't work. You have to make a report. You have X amount of barrels of beer on the wall, 100 bottles of beer on the 99 bottles of beer on the wall. But if you have no idea what you're saying, so that doesn't count as anything. Literally, you're not counting because it's a meaningless endeavor. So that's an example, right, that shows that Sefiras HaOmer is not a saying the words mitzvah, but there's a maisa of sfira, a maisa of counting, and that precludes the possibility of Shomea Ka'ona, despite the famous Torah that we spoke about before about that machlok. So the gather of Shomea Ka'ona is by sfira, it's not going to work. Another example that's here. So the next thing you have on the page in front of you is a Shari Tshuva. The Shari Tshuva brings an interesting little thing over here. Just try to scroll it up for you a little bit better. And you have tomorrow's here in front of you. Also, we'll get to that tomorrow. So the Shari Tshuva brings something very, very interesting over here. Also, make sure I'm giving you all the right. Tomorrow, did I skip something on your sheet? Hold on one second. Oops. Okay, well, we'll leave it like that. One second. Okay. So the Shai Tshuva over here brings a very interesting discussion. Let me see what I have over here. Sorry, I just have to move my screen a little bit. Two discussions actually that are here in the Shari Tshuva. Discussion number one that the Shari Tshuva brings is, and this is also quoted by the Bir Halacha, if I count Sefiras HaOmer without saying the words, but using Rashi Tevos. I say today is Yud Aleph Ba'omer, Yud Beis Ba'omer, Lag Ba'omer. Okay? So the Shari Tshuva brings a machlokas whether or not you can be Mekayim the Sefira like that. Does that work? Okay? Does that work or not? So Savechik had said that he thinks it's Pashad that should be able to work. Why should that be able to work? Because if the mitzvah was to say a text, to say the magic words, so then you're right, like you didn't really say the words. You just said Aleph or whatever. But because by Sefira, the mitzvah is not to say the words, but the mitzvah is to count. So any way, any system that you have that's used to count, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, Yud Gimel, we all know how to say that. We all know exactly what Yud Aleph means. We know exactly what Yud Beis means. We know what Lag BaOmer means, the 33rd day of the Omer. The Seder of Soloveitchik, he thought that it should be Pashut like the opinion that says that the Rashi Tevos are going to work because, right, the gather of the mitzvah is the counting as opposed to saying the words that are there. There's a very interesting discussion that the Shari Tshuva continues with. What about Ksiva? If I write the Sefiras HaOmer. So he brings Ayin Sham Bedin Ksiva, you have a Kedibur. Is Ksiva considered Kedibur? Now, when I write something, is that considered as if I said it? Or not? Lamaisa, there's a long discussion that Rabbi Kiva Eger has in the Chuvas Rabbi Kiva Eger, Simon Kaf Test, the Lamed Beis, Kaf Test, Lamed Aleph, 4 Chuvas back to back, not so long, but 4 Chuvas back to back in the Chuvas Rabbi Kiva Eger about this question that's here. So the Rosalvecha came along and said that he thought over here that there also shouldn't be a discussion. The whole machlokes, Baksiva Kedibur Dami, is writing something considered like you made a dibur, right? Can I write something during the middle of Chazar Sashat, as an example? So that's a Kol Torah machlokes. Is Ksiva the equivalent of a dibur? And whatever dibur things I have, so in theory, it might be possible to write out the Kriya Shema again, or to write if Ksiva is Kedibur, maybe I could do those things. Here, on the other hand, we might have said that maybe that's maybe we could argue that as long as I did some form of a maisa of sfira, I didn't say the words, but I wrote down the sfira. So I might have thought over here that that the whole discussion is a mute point. Well, why shouldn't that count? I wrote it down. I know exactly where I'm at. I counted today. Boom, I wrote 14, 18, 20 on the sheet of paper. So why shouldn't that be able to count as a bona fide maisa of sfira? Okay, so just to recap what we did over here. Let's go through now the following. Just going to take the microphones off and just join us over here, and let's go through like this. We started off with a machlokas. Can you use shomea ka'ona to be mekayim in the mitzvah sphere? And we gave a classic lumdus approach that machlokas has to do with the geder, what shomea ka'ona is. Then we took a little bit of a turn and we said that maybe the whole inyan of shomea ka'ona here is not relevant because of this new geder of what the mitzvah of sphere is, the mice of counting as opposed to saying something, as opposed to reciting or saying the text that's there. And we gave a number of different examples in halacha that sort of indicate that Sefiras HaOmer, in fact, might not be a saying mitzvah, as opposed to having a maisa, which is a maisa sphira. Those are the nafkaminas of writing the Rashi Tevos. You have to understand what you're saying, etc., etc. And if, in fact, it's an inyan of having a maisa of sphira, then, of course, the idea of shomea ka'ona is not going to be relevant. So that was the basic sugya for today. So we have some of the classic ideas about shomea ka'ona, but that's pretty much that. Tomorrow we're going to cover a